everyone, welcome to another episode of On the Record. I'm Nthabiseng Mosieane, and today I am joined by actor extraordinaire Sdumo Mtshali, who also plays the role of Commander LEKOYA on BloodPsalms. Sdumo Mtshali, welcome. How are you?
Ngiyaphila ntombi njani wena?
No, ndiyaphila inkosi kakhulu.
Asbab.
Okay, fantastic. So we are going to talk about episode 7, but we're going to talk about the episode just in general and your participation on BloodPsalms and how your experience has been as a whole. So I think because you are an Akachi soldier, I think it's important that we divulge and we break down what it means to be an Akachi soldier, why the soldiers are so prominent in the kingdom. So can you please describe to me the Akachi soldiers, and then we'll get into the rest of the questions.
The Akachi soldiers, to me, the Akachi soldiers are a bunch of assholes.
Ooh.
But they take advantage of people. But what I like about them is the discipline and the patrioticness they have for the kingdom. They're kind of like America in a sense. It's not good or bad, but they believe and they will fight and they will die for their city, for their country. That's how Jamil put it at first. As far as I remember, that's how he put it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's how Jamil put it. So, just in terms of ranking, and I guess we'll get into who hires the Akachi soldiers. But in terms of ranking, how important are they in the kingdom, and what kind of power do they command?
Definitely, they're very important. They look after the city. They work. I mean, actually, I'm not even sure how they get paid. I won't lie. But in my mind, how I placed it, and it's how even like in the Zulu culture, Mabuto, you get paid within land, and you form your own space, you own your farm. That's how I received it, and I played it in my head.
Yeah.
And then of course you get paid with the title as well. Yeah. But that's how I sort of made it work for my process.
It also seems like it's a life of service and it's very honorable.
Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, how we took it is that you were born into it.
Okay.
You were born into this thing. It's something that's passed down from your ancestors to become who you are. This is what you are. You're this soldier. Just like the king was born for this, you the soldiers as well. And then of course you move up the ranks if you live that long.
Yeah.
And in those days, I think they lived pretty long.
And just to be clear, so General Tuka is first in command, and then Commander LEKOYA is second in command.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's General Tuka at the top, and then I come in next. And then of course, as you see in the story, when power is something interesting.
Yeah.
And once the LEKOYA starts seeing the power and starts craving that, you see that he will also want to be at that position sometime.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it. That must see themselves.
Absolutely. So you and General Tuka seem very close. And there seems to be really like more than just the soldier relationship. There's like a brotherhood there. So if you as Sdumo could explain the relationship between General Tuka and Commander LEKOYA, how is that like?
Mentor and mentee, in a sense. You can tell that there's a love that Tuka has for General Tuka has for Commander LEKOYA, and he wants him to succeed. He wants him to take his place one day, just like he has his own ambition, which Commander LEKOYA sees later on. Actually, this guy has more. There's more ambition than just being a general. He could potentially want to be king, and he is from royalty as well. So there are those things that Commander LEKOYA is adding up.
Yeah.
That actually no, this guy that I've honored and loved and I'll die for, actually is blood from the enemy. He has the blood of the enemy. So I mean, I'm revealing too much, but you see as you go along.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's starting to show, right? Because we were in, well, okay, no, only because I've watched episode 7, but I will just hold back. But we see the progress in from episode 1 right through to episode 6. And, I know that this is the question I've asked every cast member. So it's been 18 years since the prophecy was declared. And just in your opinion, as Commander LEKOYA, what is going on with the kingdom and the surrounding tribes? Is there tension? Is there peace? What is bubbling under the surface from what you can see? And what's happened since then?
Oh man, there's mad confusion. We don't have, when you don't have a leader, a strong leader at that is not giving proper command, the kingdom is lost. We don't have guidance. You can relate it to now, what's happening right now, how people are feeling, even with, you could say with all the prophecy that's been placed and all the bad luck or the mysterious things that are happening, it's load shedding. It's load shedding down there. You could look at it in that sense. We constantly asking ourselves what is happening in this country. What is the plan? And there's no plan. We're not getting any result. We're not being told what to do, and that in itself will unravel something else. That's why a couple of years back, when the country was lost, we didn't know what to do. People started looting. Certain things where leaders start to keep things to themselves and not actually leading the people. People get a bit frustrated. And that's what's happening within this kingdom. That's the clever thing about storytelling, is that you must find a way that the audience has to look at what they're watching and somehow see how that's affecting within their lives. So it's what they say in schools. Art mirrors life, and life mirrors art. So it bounces back between the two. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a great analogy that you gave, the connection of the two. And, I think I'm being silly in this, but it kind of just makes me think how corruption has always been a thing. But I don't think they understood the idea of corruption back then. I would like to be hopeful in thinking that.
No, you have to. Whatever I will say, people must, when you watch something, why are you watching it? It's easy to just, today I'm going to watch whatever, telenovela or soapy, but why are you watching it, and what are they trying to say? What do they want to say?
Yeah.
And that's up to you as an audience, and somebody has to figure that out. What are they trying to say? What is this director, what are these actors want to say, and how do they want us to see and feel more than anything else? And that's the great thing about BloodPsalms in itself, that it's really trying to look at Africa within its corruption. I mean, you can see all those symbols of snakes and the good and people around. That's what's happening right now, and certain people within power are keeping things to themselves and they're not giving back their promises, or as we call it in this country, service delivery.
Yeah.
So you look at those things and see how it affects us. Power corrupts absolute. That's the truth.
Damn. Okay. All right. Cool. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to BloodPsalms. So and I think let's tie it in. There is a bit of frustration that General Toka has with his, that Commander LEKOYA has with his general, especially with, he's in a bit of trouble. He's in a bit of trouble in his relationship with Mzansi, and you confide in your wife regarding that. What is your frustration with your general? Is it because you didn't jump on Mzansi first, or did he really break the rules of honor?
No, not at all. I didn't hit it first. I mean, he could have shared, but no. He's not looking at that because he's such a. He comes from a military background, and the idea, as you said, of servitude. He feels that the general has lost that and has lost the fight for the people. And which people is he fighting for? I mean, if you look at the first scene itself, which was when you first meet the Akachi soldiers in the cave, and when the General Dooku starts doing a ritual that's not within the customs of the Akachi, Commander LEKOYA is like, what's going on here? Which side is this man on?
Yeah.
But he lets it go. And then again, and then they meet the prophet, the old man who prophesies the future to them.
Yeah.
And again, and he calls him by his name. Those things slowly is like, what is going on? So he's adding things up, and he's trying to find out what's happening with my mentor. Why is my leader not leading us? What is going on? And it's a mess. It's a mess. And I always, when I look at things like that, I always try to find a way. How do they reflect with what's happening now more than anything else?
Absolutely. Now, episode 7, I find is filled with so much tension. There's an uprising of sorts. The people are not happy. What happened for this to occur? Like, just to get understanding, what happened for the people's unhappiness?
Everyone is the dire need of a purpose. No one has a purpose now. The truths are unraveling slowly, and then what happens is that people start to look for things to do, look for a solution. And the problem is, if the solution is not guided by somebody, then everything falls apart. And that's what's happening. You can. I was just saying, you can look at it even what happened in this country when with COVID. Everybody, we were all so anticipating it. Anxiety was here, and people were like, lead us. We need a leader to lead us somewhere. But with all the confusion, with all the chitter chatters, the little people scheming, the country it went into a devastating period where there was looting, and that's. You look at BloodPsalms, it reflects that. That's what I love about Jamin's writing. He looks at what is happening in society and he writes it down.
Definitely. And he puts it within the context of this fictional world that is BloodPsalms.
Absolutely.
What I found interesting was that your wife was not having any of that. She was like, my husband, my man is going to be there. And she, and she literally plots your rise in a sense. Do you think that was noble, or do you think that was wrong of her?
You know what? I always say there is no right or wrong. There's only strong and weak. And she made a strong decision for herself because she also wants to get somewhere in life. And she believes that if we go together, at least if something goes wrong, we'll die together.
Yeah.
But her belief is that, my husband has been working hard, has been doing these things. You see the frustration in somebody you love, and it's not pleasant. It crumbles the home. And she can also see what's happening within society and within the kingdom itself, because she works in there. So she sees, she plots, she schemes. And then all she does is just motivates her husband to start thinking for himself and the family. And of course, and then afterwards, she's rewarded for that when my character decides to reward her with the old going down on her. And it's pleasant and it's beautiful.
But I don't think she knows what she got herself into quite yet. In fact, what she got your character into. which we will get into that. So I believe it's the Citadel, ne, where the people, there's commotion, and then you stand up as a leader, and then you address the people, and you speak to them. What was your core message in speaking to them at that moment?
The king is corrupt. The king is a mess. The kingdom is a mess. People are dying. There's no food. But what I loved about that speech was how Jamil had written it. He had written so poetically. So what I had to do, thanks to Leila, she connected me with a good friend, Tulani, she was brother, the actress in the show.
Okay.
So when we were working the dialogue, I never wanted him to speak in a sense that's very common today. The Zulu that's very common today. I wanted everything to be as poetic as how Jamil wrote it, but with more rigor and fire. Well, that was up to me now to really find the nuance and to make the language more interesting. But more than anything else, that was the message, because he is the son, he is one of the people, and you need to speak to the heart of the people. And then, of course, you're going to see what happens when he finally gets heard and enters and then sees power. And there's another symbol, which I love, the symbols of snakes, people don't get in the show. It's just a little trick that Jamil loves to do. Within all his shows, he always finds something that gives the audience in their subconscious the idea of, when this happens, it means this. And sometimes I'll twist it. So the idea of a snake, you'll see when they put it in his mouth, it's just the idea that he's been captured. You could call it that the country has been captured. That's what I love about Jamil's work.
I felt for the commander when Queen Asili forced that snake down his throat. And I mean, of course, I think just in general, we understand witchcraft and we understand what that means for you, that, it's almost like the character has been made a puppet, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we see that it's not necessarily good. And I really hope your character doesn't die. I just hope from that damn snake.
I hope nobody dies. But it is BloodPsalms, so we'll see at the end what happens.
Yeah, it is BloodPsalms. Do you believe that your general deserves what is to come to him? I don't foresee it being good. What are your thoughts regarding that?
He made choices in his life that you have to be accountable. Whatever choices we make in life, we have to be accountable for. He made a choice in his life in the past to betray his own people, leave his own people behind, who could save him now, and decided to follow his dream or his path, or should I say, his ambition. And it's led him the way he is now. But his journey becomes very interesting, which is what I love about Jamil, is that now he plays within different worlds. It's the world that I'm excited to see as well. I think we saw a bit of it with Nthabiseng Mareti's character, where he goes into the afterlife. So we get to see Jamil's idea of the afterlife mixed with the ideas of Greek mythology and African mythology and a lot of also Japanese culture as well. So he plays around a lot of that. That's what I love about BloodPsalms. It's Africa at its best, because everybody borrowed from Africa.
Yeah.
If Africans themselves watching this don't see that, we have a long way to go. Because everybody else borrowed and stole from Africa. So now Jamil is taking it back and said, look, we did this first. Now we're showing with the little budget that we have.
Hopefully it's gonna get doubled, tripled with the new seasons to come. Crossing fingers for that.
Listen, I'm hoping to get, at least I'm hoping they get, you know the budget that Game of Thrones has for one episode?
Yes.
I'm hoping, just give us that budget, which is about, I think they have one episode for like $51 million. Add that up. I'm hoping they, because our budget is, as Leila would say, it's catering money for them. So I'm hoping get that sort of budget that really boosts the show, that really, now we really pay attention to the detail, to the little things, how a table sits, how people sit,
Absolutely.
what kind of food they eat, because we don't really see the food in the show. It would be nice to see the food. We dig in more into detail, the research becomes stronger.
He believes strongly in the African archetype, and I think the vision has been started.
Absolutely.
So we trust and believe that we will continue on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be great. Because for me, it's a story like this, because we've started this now. I was telling somebody, I think it was Sif, who's also on the show. I was telling him, like, this is just the start. 10 years from now, a kid who's watching the show, they're gonna blow our minds. The stuff they're gonna be able to come up with, it has to be fantastic. It has to be wild, with no limits. We're gonna be doing stuff that's unheard of, and that's the aim. If we can start now, this is just the start. You know, Tupac said it. I'm gonna spark the brain that's gonna change the world. I'm not gonna change the world, but I'm gonna spark the brain that changes the world. I'm gonna spark the brain that's gonna change. There's a kid out there who's watching BloodPsalms, and I'm excited. I can't wait to audition for them.
You're giving me goosebumps. But okay. Let me continue. So we're gonna talk about I think it's very clear why you decided to take on BloodPsalms. I can hear your passion, I can hear your drive, and I can hear your love for the story and your admiration for the director, which is really, really great. I really admire that. What I find interesting, I'm looking at your attire, and I'm just giggling to myself that it's so different from your costume on BloodPsalms. Did you find it intimidating at all, having worn what you wore throughout the production?
Oh, I was not intimidated. I was excited. I was so excited. I dreamt of stuff like this. It's only dreams. You dream of doing work like this. Because I even remember the first time we went, Jamil was showing me like the pictures of the costume, with the ideas, and then having the measurements. I was like, I couldn't stop moving. I was like, okay, wow. And then here, what do we wear here? What does it look like? Oh, I was like, okay, the hat. Oh, you got that Japanese. That's that Japanese hat, samurai. Oh, because now we start really having a conversation, and then we start diving into the idea. And Jamil just goes from 0 to 100, and then we start talking about the idea of what is our identity. That's the first time I met him, and then we started. I thought I was just gonna have a meeting and probably have a beer. We started diving into like the idea of what's our identity as Africans? Is our identity Ubsulu? Is our identity Xhosa? What is it for real? And spirituality as well. I mean, just went into so deep. I was like, wow, I should have smoked before I spoke to him. Should have like had some strong weed. I was like, what? But it was so cool. I was so excited about the costume. And then, sorry to jump, I'm jumping your questions. And then we headed into the design of what he wanted to look like. I was like, oh my God, this has been my dream. Because we've seen Egypt, and it hasn't represented us. Representation is so important. It's so important for the young mind to see it. So if a young kid can see Umzulu wearing those costumes and moving around before Shaka, before everything else, because that's the history we have.
Yeah.
It's our history is apartheid. I'm just remembering in school what they taught us in school. Apartheid, Hitler, Shah. That's it. What?
And that was it. Every single year, the same thing.
I had to leave. I dropped out history because I just couldn't understand.
Yeah.
I'm like, then what? I was like, what was before that? Oh, well, Egypt. Like, no, but that's like thousands of years. Well, Christianity. I'm like, what? Africa. What about Africa's history? What's happening there? And they don't teach us that in school. It's the sad thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with storytelling, we can retell the history. So that's what I love about the narrative.
And we retell it and tell it our way, the way we want it, fantasy and everything, And I want people to actually be very clear. It's still fantasy at the end of the day. It's still an idea just to spark the brain more than anything. It's not set on stone. We're just taking elements that are there, exposed to us, the little that we have, and we're making it work for us.
One of the strengths that I think the series has is the power of language and the power of the African language and vernacular language. And I think all our languages were celebrated so wonderfully on this show. But in particular, I remember listening to you and watching you throughout all your previous productions, and I would think to myself, he is so good. You are so excellent with your Zulu speaking. And I was like, and this one is next level as well, right? Did you find BloodPsalms particularly challenging with the Zulu speaking? Because in my listening, I do hear there's one level up.
Yes. I wouldn't say challenging. The word challenge for me is it's non-existent. I was just excited to move a step ahead now, because honestly, I can't do it alone. I asked for help. I phoned my dad. My dad would be there immediately, like, okay. I'll be like, okay, how can I play with this? And there's another actor of mine, a very good friend of mine, Mosieane. I asked him, like, dude, how do I phrase this and it's stronger? And of course, there was Tulani, salute to him. He really went down, and I phoned him. I'm sad he gave me his number because I used to bother him a lot. I'll say, no, change that. I was like, no, here I sound like smooth. I don't want to sound like smooth. I don't want to sound like something I've heard. I don't want the audience to think that. I made such a distinct color palette for Commander LEKOYA. And he was so distinct, I could see him, I could dream him. Once I started dreaming stuff that some things I used to dream didn't make sense. I'd find myself in bushes and stuff like that. But I understood that I'm dreaming for this character now. And it was so nice that this character was so distinct. Nothing blended, nothing fell in, because even in his writing, he was so clear. I commend once again Jamil for that. And that's great to have a director who's seen your work. So he's not directing you out of nowhere. He's directing you. He's also cleaning you up. It's like, no. That part, no. You've done that before. I've seen that somewhere. Try something else. Okay. You too much. So it's nice to have a director like, because I can't go overboard. That's why there was a whole thing about every time we finish shooting, there's a whole thing about we poured milk on each other. It's sort of like a basketball thing. Every time somebody raps, but the more than anything is because I can milk a scene. I can really milk it.
I love the pun.
I can really milk a scene, so they started pouring that on everybody. The first one, so they started pouring it on everybody.
My last question to you, it can be a statement, it can be whatever you want to say, because I think you've answered and you've said everything so perfect and so eloquently. And I did have a question, But I think I will leave it to you to give me and the audience last words on BloodPsalms, on life, on just your experience, on anything you want to say.
Take BloodPsalms as umsebenzi, ekhaya, that those who are of culture, you know. Or if not, even if of religion, take it as it's a gathering at the altar. We're here to pray, we're here to celebrate Africanness. And it's so black, so pro-black, it's beautiful. I'm so proud of Layla, I'm so proud of Jamil for creating this. I'm proud of the production as a whole, you know, for just fighting for this, you know. Oh, I could go on.
Yeah.
How grateful I am for this project. Because I don't even take it as like, oh, that's that one project that's gonna leave. No, it's that one project that's gonna live forever. They're gonna be studying this. In schools, they're gonna be studying how to shoot, how to play.
Yeah.
Well, when they find the right teachers. But they'll be teaching this sort of work. You know, and I'm so grateful for Yellowbone Productions for this. It's an absolute honor to be part of this. And I wish them nothing but excellence in the future going forward. I wish them nothing but excellence. To have creators and fought for something like this, it's beautiful.
Well, amen to that. Amen and amen. You have been incredible. Thank you so much for your time. I have absorbed, not only just listened, but absorbed what you said. And you know, it's amazing living vicariously through all of you guys, through the production and the experience. And this is such a great conversation. And as you said, it's going to live the test of time, and this was such a pleasure. Enkosi kakhulu, Sdumo Mtshali. It was such a pleasure. Thank you for your time, and we'll chat again.
Thank
you so much. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.